Ken Campbell,
The Seekers Podcast.
John from Econ, sing, sing long John from Jake Grattisino come, sing, sing long John from Econ, sing, sing long John from Jake Grattisino come, sing, sing long John from.
Greetings, Seekers, and hilarious.
This is what I loved. I mean, this is it for me, right? Please don't imagine that I go home and it's better. It's not.
welcome to Ken Campbell, The Seekers Podcast, hosted by me, Daisy Campbell, Ken's daughter, and David Bramwell.
Ken Campbell was one of a kind. An unconventional performer, wordsmith, theatre director, comedian, trickster, and creative powerhouse. For this unique series, we'll be plundering Ken's archive to bring you the best recordings of his one-man shows, as well as other selected treats. It's probably worth telling the listeners, isn't it, Daisy, that we've very deliberately broken up these monologues into part one and part two for the longer ones, like Jamais, precisely because that's what would happen if you'd go to see Ken live, because there's so much information, they're so rich that you need that sort of coffee break, that toilet break.
Yeah. I used to love it as a kid. I'd often be in the audience, and one of the things that I sort of enjoyed to do in a slightly weird spy-like way was I'd sort of hang out in the loos or in the bar, because I usually wouldn't be with anyone else, so there'd be no one to talk to in the interval, and just listen to people going, "What? I mean, surely that bit's not true, and that can't be," and just the dying to kind of go, "It is," and occasionally I would. And yeah, but it was always really fascinating listening to the kind of interval chat of all the people there, as particularly when he was at the National, because that was an audience that wasn't comprised totally of his seekers, as he called them, but people coming to him often for the first time and trying to figure out what the hell to make of him.
Now, one of the themes that crops up again and again in his monologues is pidgin English. But do you know where the original passion for pidgin came from?
No, the first that I was aware of it was we'd just done the revival warp, and there was kind of, it was just winding down, and so he started picking some of his favourite company members to start learning bits of pidgin and see if they could do it, because he had this idea for translating Macbeth into pidgin English. And suddenly, having not really ever heard him discuss it before, we were fully in, and a bunch of us fully learning pidgin English, and I was helping translate Macbeth and all the rest of it. So I don't remember him talking about it before, but I mean, the way he describes it, it's like a long-standing fascination. I wouldn't be surprised if he stumbled upon it back in sort of Gants Hill Library days, really, right, and had just sort of stored it away as just the most extraordinary use of language. I mean, he loved language so much, and so I think it just spoke to him on that level, really, and then to discover the whole story behind it just blew his mind, I think.
So we left him at the end of the first half, I think, being addressed directly by the television and about to pack his bags and head off to Tanna. That's
right, yes. So here we go then. Jamais Vu, Part 2.
So I was sitting on this little aeroplane, and most of my fellow passengers were chickens. Live chickens, the little heads coming out of woven baskets. They were piled up on the seats. Some of them were a bit alarmed. And the others seemed to be comforting them, And we were flying over the Stone Age island of Tanna. Somewhere down below in the jungle would be the Iunahanan, who allegedly worshipped the Duke of Edinburgh. And we were flying over this enormous pit. And the fellow behind nudged me. He said, see the two eyes of Yasur. And then we were flying evidently over Yasur the Volcano, and the two eyes of these erupting furnaces. Actually, the fellow behind was of some interest. He was importing holy sprays into Tanna. He was hoping to unload them on the Rambo Catholic Church. Following independence in 1980 on Tanna, they'd largely reverted from Christianity to worship of Yasur the Volcano and the John from Cargo Cult Church. That was their custom. The French had still got a little mission hall, and it was called the Rambo Catholic Church, because it's largely given over to the showing of Rambo films on a Friday. And the tribes who went to those services, they knew the Rambo films by heart. They used to join in the Rambo films. And every Easter they do a Rambo passion play. Anyway, it was hoped that these blessed sprays might signal a return to orthodoxy. Make the sign of the cross. Let us spray. Plain fall down is the cry. Plain fall down. That would mean in the Bislama pidgin English of the islands that the plane has landed. Bislama pidgin. Bislama are the sea slugs there, much prized by the Japanese, who use them to make their pricks bigger, and then from somewhere else they get rhinoceros horn to give them the required extra energy to be able to use them. Plane fall down. If it had crashed, they'd say plane fall down, bugger up. The official book on the islands is this: History of the Three Flags. New Hebrides is changeover to the Republic of Vanuatu. It's by the first Chief Minister of Self-Government. It's in 3 languages: French, British, and Bislama pidgin. Yeah, pidgin first. Before white man, e come find 'em, you me. All get a people long every islands, ollie friendly people. Mo, all get a big fella islands, ollie gat people long hem. Mo, ollie cannibals. In English, before the white man came and discovered us, all the people in the islands were friendly. All the bigger islands were inhabited, and the people were cannibals. The language is so attractive. I think this pidgin, here's a sign I snapped. Suppose you want 'em ferry, you kill 'em gong. You know, kill 'em the gong. Kill 'em just means hit. If you want to say kill, you got to say kill 'em all together, dead, finished, yeah. Now, in their colonial days, in the New Hebrides days, they were ruled over jointly by the French and the British, but apparently with no accent at all on the jointly. This gave them 2 sets of conflicting laws, 2 sets of conflicting law enforcers, 2 sides of the road on which to drive. Called properly the Government of Condominium. It was known locally as the Government of Pandemonium. And the pidgin, of course, comes from the great slaving, the grand blackbirding days, when us and the French had steamed into different islands, grabbing a geezer here and a geezer there to shovel batshit out of guano caves, to work the plantations. More than 2,000 different languages on those islands, and the poor buggers couldn't talk to each other, and so they'd adopted the persecutor's tongue, wonderfully preferring pidgin English to pidgin French, because the French, even while flogging them, had been prissy about their pronunciation. Anyway, I was asking round and about the Iunahanan, whether it's possible to meet the Iunahanan who worship the Duke of Edinburgh. They said, well, it's not here. They said, you're on the capital island of Ifati here. They said, no, you'd have to go to Tanna for that. They said, but it's not on the tourist track, you know. You'd be heading into Nambus country. Do you know what a Nambus is? I said, yes, it's a penis wrapper. But yeah. Also, it's John Frum territory. Now, Tanna Island in the colonial New Hebrides days had been looked after by us, mainly, by our Presbyterians, military-backed Presbyterians. We gave the Tannese the option they could convert to Christianity, which is called locally Ollie Pull-Him Trousers. Everyone get your pants on, or they could have their villages shelled. Oh, well, they saw the light in quite some number. And, of course, once you pull him the trousers on, then the church holds your land in trust. Then if you lose him trousers, if you lose him trousers, you'll lose all title and deed to the land. Natch. Now, the Presbyterians were a brave bunch. They braved the hostility, the disease of the jungle, but they found them. They located every one of the magic stones and rocks of Tanna, and they dug them all up and they slung them into the sea at Green Point. and they banned the drinking of kava, this non-alcoholic but heavily narcotic root-based drink, and they banned the dancing, the singing, and the recital of myths, and they banned the eating of each other, and they banned the swapping of wives, and they banned the wearing of the nambus, and they banned the 100-day circumcision ritual, which actually is not so much circumcision as circision or supercision. At the age of 8 or so, the little lads would present their plonkers to the rock. Whack comes down the flint axe, whoop, and then the little lads are led off into the jungle. They're not going to see their mums now for 100 days, and then they're not allowed to touch themselves at all. They've got to eat with their elbows. And then while they're there, the elders and the wise men will enter odds and sods and bits and pieces into the wound to give every little lad a customised, individualised donga worth the having. And to help them to grow into men, the elders will paint faces on their arses and prance in them backwards and shit on their heads. And of course, at the end of the 100 days, the enforced homosexuality comes to an end. Except in the case of some lad who shows some particular promise in this area. Very, very similar to our Scouts. No, come on. The Scouts, from its inception, was a device for supplying pederasts with a vast choice of lads. The founder even calling his book Scouting for Boys. Anyway, the tender little lads now, at the end of the 100 days, coming out of the jungle, reunited with their mums. Now, they're basically vegetarians there, but at times of high excitement, they bonk pigs. With their ceremonial pig bonkers, these great maniacs, they'll lay down some pigs. And this is a sacrifice, because pigs are regarded as 1/4 human. And they're really cocky little buggers, these pigs. I mean, they really look like they own the place. I'd go along with that. And ladies, when they're suckling their infant, they will be expected to suckle as well the runt of a pig litter. And apparently quite a caper it is. Really one of the joys of motherhood. You know, there's not one recorded case of postnatal depression. No, I mean, not as long, as long as you've got your little peccary. Anyway, I pass these things on. Anyway, it's the end of the 100 days. They're out. They have this great bacon orgy, and then the mums rape the geezers. Rampant mums going to come at you now, chaps. Well, one will sit on your head, another will whack your customised donger up to the skies, and Yasur! Anyway, all these joys were denied the Tannese by the Presbyterians. But then in 1937 had arisen the Messiah. Out of the sea he came at Greenpoint, Tanna, and he gave his name as John Frum. John Frum he come, Jake Kratis he no come, goes the triumphant hymn. Jake Kratis, their way of saying Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ has been promising a return now for 2,000 years. So far, no show. And there's a difference. John Frum he come. And he came out of the sea, and he was a white man of military bearing in a bowler hat. And they, of course, believe he was a spirit of the Tannese ancestors, held at that moment in a white body. Anyway, John Frum, this is 28 different indigenous languages on Tanna, but John Frum, he spoke every man his own tongue. And his first commandment was, lose him Bible. Sling all your Bibles into the sea, boys, and let's have the carver drinking back, please. Let's swap our wives, please. Let's have the grand old 100 days back, and one for me, hey, and get your nambuses on, yeah. Now, this was the big uprising on Tanna, and that's when descriptions of John Frum changed. One day he's tall, one day he's short, one day he's fat, one day he's thin, and then he's not even white. He was a black guy who whited up, and he's caught many times, but it's never him, and many John Frum followers are shot, and some have to go off and do time in the jail Ifati. But John Frum, he come every night at 6 o'clock to our boys in Ifati jail, and he come in the wall. I say, he come in the wall? Did he walk through walls then, John Frum? Nah, he come in the wall. He teach our boys knock-knock talk. I said, knock-knock talk? Well, like Morse, you mean? Yeah. And John Frum, he said, don't work too hard, and I will be with you at carver time. Anyway, I went into the little tourist office on the Farty Island. I said, is it possible to get to Tanna? they said, well, when you want to go there, you'd have to go on the chicken run. I said, well, that's fine. I said, listen, while I'm there, I really want to visit the Iunahanan who worship the Duke of Edinburgh. They said, well, there's no way we can organise that for you. So what we can suggest is you buy a voucher for all the little tours they do on Tanna, and then some of that money will go to the guide, you see, and maybe they'll be, so happy they'll try and do you a favour. All we can suggest, right? It's very expensive, incidentally, the jungle. Anyway, come on, let's go. Plan to fall down. Anyway, we've landed in this little field, and the airport building is a shed. And there's a window frame there, but the glass hasn't arrived yet. Anyway, the spray man, he's whisked off to the Rambo Catholic Church, and my other fellow passengers, the chickens, they're now united with their new owners. But there was no one there to meet me. And I had been told that Chief Tom DeMarcus people, but there was no one there to meet me. But there's quite a lot of people who lurk the airport. But the disconcerting thing is, they don't see you, It's like you've invoked your cloud of not to be inquired into-ness. Oh, wow. And then there were ladies looking at me. I thought, oh, Christ, they're rampant mums. I've got out my toothpot, and I put some cotton wool in. And then she was there. Pauline, that was the name of my guide, Pauline. Zaz, listen, this South Pacific hair, Waz. I mean, it's so practical. She got a notebook in it, a ruler and a pen. And she said, got any vouchers? Yeah, I showed her my full set, and she was made up. And bongity-bongity-bong, we were bumping along in the Jeep. I said, look, what I most want to do while I'm here, I would like to meet the Iunahanan tribe who worship the Duke of Edinburgh. And she hadn't got a clue what I was talking about. Yeah, I said, he's a god. Prince Philip, the Pilip. She said, Pilip. I said, yeah, Pilip. She said, well, apparently there were two tribes, two Pilip worshipping tribes. Chief Took's tribe and Chief Jack Niver's. But as to whether they'd see me or not, she didn't know that. Maybe we'd pick up some news of this, about this, in the John Frum Church. The John Frum Church is woven. It's a woven church. And there was a priestess there, a quite gaunt old lady. And she was telling me things, but she didn't open her mouth at all. This is because she'd had a dream. John Frum had come to her in a dream, and he had taught her the secret of the international language, the language that can be understood by any person from any part of the world. And the secret is to keep your mouth closed. It's only when you open your mouth to speak that confusion occurs. Anyway, Pauline asked the priestess what she thought about whether I'd be able to meet any of the Pilip tribes. And the news was terrific. The news was that Chief Jack Niver would see me. And it was about a half an hour's drive into the jungle. And then there's this woven hut. And a sign painted outside in big red paint. It says John Frum. But when you get up close, there's another sign. You only see it when you're close. I've blown it up here. A snap I took to the size about it is. Look, notice it's in proper English, not pidgin. And it says, we believe that Prince Pilip is originally of Tanna, and we want him to return home. And Pauline was in the hut, and she called for me to go in. And there was this fine old man wearing nothing but his nambus. It doesn't keep the sexual organ in a permanently erect position at all. But mind you, that on other islands you can still find that. Malakula or Ambrim, they're still doing that there, I believe. But that's never been the Tanna style at all. The Tanna style of nambus it's a bit like a horse's tail, like a witch's broom. It sort of reaches down, but made of straw, reaches down there, and you simply put yourself in. But the style chaps his bollocks out. All right, there was the chief in his nambus, and he was standing beside his table of meaningful possessions. He had a mouldering old coronation book. It would mean like a coffee table royal family book. There was a signed, framed photograph of Prince Philip. A centre table, was the biscuit tin. It's got the Queen on one side, or the Queen, they call her the Queen. Oh, Prince Charles, incidentally, is #1 Piccaninny Blonde Queen. Anyway, the Queen, but more significantly, Pilip, the god on the other side. I've never handled any religious item with as much reverence as Chief Jack's biscuit tin. And on the other side of the hut is bed matting, and laid out on the bed matting, a brand new Nambus. Nambus there, ready for the Duke when he returns. I said to Pauline, I'm not sure he'll find it all that comfortable, until he gets used to it. She said, well, I'm sure in his case he may cushion himself with a handkerchief. Well, I said, that's a relief. I said, has the chief's actually met Pilip then? Yes. And Pilip said he would be coming back. Yes. Now listen, if you worship Pilip, then your religion is Pilipanity, or as they call it, Pilipanti. And the creed of the Pilipantes is something like this. They're not saying that Pilip is God Almighty at all. He's not as big as Yasur the Volcano, and he's nothing as big as John Frum, but he's a handy little household god. And I mean, he's not perfect. He's got flaws in his character. A bit arrogant, a bit on the flirty side, possibly in a charming way. These are the theories there. But that's why he's currently undergoing punishment. That is why he's under the thumb of the grumpy woman you can see on the front of British banknotes. He's a Tannese soul, like John Frum. He's a spirit of their ancestors, but currently trapped in a white body, but a white body of some significance. A white body which can be traced back to Jake Kratis, or Jesus Christ. And it is Pilip's secret goal in life, is that he wants to be pumping this hot holy blood back into the tribes of Tanna. And the Iunahanan are ready for him. The Iunahanan have had 3 virgins ready for him for nearly 30 years now. I mean, they change the virgins every 2 years or so, fresh virgins every couple of years. When I got back to England, I rang up a one-time High Commissioner for the islands, and I said, did the Duke of Edinburgh ever go there? Absolutely not, he said. I said, oh, that's only asking because Chief Jack Niver seems to think he did. He said, I'm sure Chief Jack Niver may well be convinced he did. He said, but you know that in their culture, they make no difference between dream and reality. He said, you know the strength of that stuff they drink. He said, I read a little else with my time. Then I plough through missionary books. And I buy every new book on the South Pacific as it comes out. And here's this is a charming little book, Coconuts and Coral by Gwendolyn Page. Mrs. Page, a British housewife. She lived on the islands many years ago. And she writes about what the sort of things they ate there, what Christmas was like and stuff. And she prints this snap she took. It's of Mr. D. Walford and French Commandant of Police meet HRH, the Duke of Edinburgh, on his visit to the New Hebrides in March 1971. On page 196, she details for us the dances which were danced for the Duke on that occasion. So, he certainly went to the islands, my lad. Oh, yes, we never went to Tanna. Really, so he never went to the one island which yearns for his return. One can only suggest that he goes on less visits, then he might be worshipped in more places. But anyway, they take his return very seriously on Tanna, and they've woven for him a palace up in a banyan tree. And from there, him and Chief Took and Chief Jack Niver can rule the world. Chief Jack had some quite recent Western newspapers, you know, stuff like this, Philip's Kick in the Goulash, and he looked very concerned. Quite honestly, I don't think it was any worry about Hungarians, rudeness to Hungarians. I think he was concerned about the age of the Duke, you know. He's really going to have to get out there quite soon now, or he won't be up to his holy task, not unless he is the great spunko. And as Jake says, it's a bit tasteless from a wheelchair. Anyway, one does, of course, ask oneself how on earth this came about. I can put it together for you in this way. Think now, it's the run-up towards their independence. It was pretty clear that there was going to be no British influence left on that island. They really couldn't wait for us to get off. You know, this Ollie pulling trousers, that's such a charming little expression. It does shield us from a bit of bad feeling on that island, actually. I mean, what it was a British business interest, saw its chances here, you see? And so, with it all being forced into trousers, so we supplied them with poisoned trousers. Now, the trousers were full of measles and things, and we managed to get the population down from 20,000 to 6,000. That's liberating vast tracts of valuable land for the intensive growing of coconuts. I said, bloody coconuts? Yeah, for the copra. What is copra? It's the dried flesh of coconut used in the manufacture of soap. Gee. Lever's easy shaving stick. Bong. Yeah, I said to Pauline, I said, you know, I've used that soap. She said, how could you use that soap? I said, listen, they didn't actually stress this aspect in their advertising. Anyway, a High Commissioner for the islands, you know, and you're thinking of those islands. He'd steamed over there with some crap from the coronation and a dangerous Gants Hill book or two, and we're still there. We've still got a little bit of influence on the island, you know, with the Pilip worshipping tribes, and the French have still got their Rambo Catholic mission hall. This is, you know, sort of sweet, I suppose, in an awful way. And but Pauline said, Chief Jack Niver would like to take Carver with you. I said, well, that would be an honour. She said, you understand, I cannot be with you. I said, yeah. I said, have you got any advice? She said, it would be better if you wore less clothes. She said, you see how far Chief Jack stands from you. It's not because he doesn't like you. It's because he has fright of your clothes. Right, anyway, yeah, she went off. She went off in the Jeep, actually. And Chief Jack Niver stayed talking to me for a while. He didn't open his mouth, you know, so I knew what he was saying. And then he went off. I assumed he'd gone off to round up the other Pilipantes for this Carver drinking ceremony. And, right, wear less clothes. So I took off my shirt. I thought, God, I hope that's enough, isn't it? And then I saw I had the chance of a lifetime. Wow, I'm going to get a picture of myself in the Duke of Edinburgh's Nambus, yeah? And there was absolutely no one around. Okay, so I stripped right off, and come on, let's really go for this, shall we? And
I'll whip a sock onto me, Johnson.
And then in came Chief Jack and 8 Pilipantes. Well, I laid the Nambus and followed my hosts to the Carver Grove. One evening we were to drink the Carver beneath Pilip's palace. Carver, the scraped, peeled roots of Piper methysticum, chewed to a pulp by uncircumcised male virgins, then the results of their labour, like dog sick, the second time round, is heaved onto leaves and then transferred onto mat. A little bit of water poured on and patted in, and then the whole enterprise is squished through into a battered enamel potty. Tanny's Carver, the strongest in the South Pacific, they say. And it's drunk in silence. If you need to say anything, you must make your words no more than the breeze in the banyan tree. And where the form is, you should be listening to the advice, the wisdom of the ancestors, the spirits of the ancestors in the rustle of the leaves. Anyway, I accepted a second shell of Carver. It tastes like soil and snot. And the trick is to vault it quickly past any taste buds. 2 shells of Carver achieves you complete jamais vu of both legs. And my thoughts return to the royal family. Wasn't I supposed to be saving them or something? Woo, wish. I could hear the spirit of the ancestors in the banyan tree now. Woo, wish. Woo, brish. Woo, brish. And it was shouting, my head was full of Irish voices. Chorus, hubris, nemesis, ate. Chorus, hubris, nemesis, ate. They were going, what? Chorus, hubris, nemesis, ate. That's an ancient Greek drama notion. Chorus, hubris, nemesis, ate. I'd long ago discarded as unlikely to have any relevance in our modern life. Yeah, we are the children of Marx. We're the kids of Freud. We do things because of our environment, because of seeing our dad's donger at an unsuitable moment. They're not open to us, the fatal flaws, the tragic choices that they had in ancient Greece. But how does that thing go? Chorus, hubris, nemesis, ate. Right? Chorus, with the meaning too much. Hubris, meaning way too much. Like an arrogance. I mean, what more? It's like a cast of mind that supposes that the usual rules don't apply to you. You are special and okay. Nemesis, fate, ate, destruction. But listen, wasn't one of the big numbers of hubris masquerading as a deity? At any hint of that, the gods are going to come shrieking out of the skies, and they're going to wreak havoc upon generation to come, everlasting. And wasn't the Duke, one understands out of duty to British business interests, guilty of masquerading as a god in these parts? Accepted a third shell of Carver. Oh, the Dick Nose and Laughing Mirror were a hit. Only an icon could save them now. You know what I mean? Imagine Prince Philip comes back as promised. So we get the picture. Prince Philip with Chief Jack. Frankly, I don't think that's enough now. That'd be more like Philip washing Jack's feet. And that becomes, the icon, the picture. What I mean is reproduced, poster-sized by the billions, sold in boots. Artistic query here. Should the Duke be in his White Admiral of the Fleet kit, or should he be in Nambus? Be in his Nambus for this holy ablution. Wow. Woo-hoo, brish from the banyan tree. Whoa! And there was a marvellous upsurge of lava from Yasur the volcano. And I rose upon absent legs. I was utilising balance and gravity. I tottered off towards the volcano. The Carver Assembly made no motion to stop me. In fact, they made no motion at all. Anyway, my notion now was to research the Duke. Research the Duke to the end of a line. How does it feel? How does it feel? How would it feel, Pilip, on your final trip to Nemesis? Eyes. There were eyes in the forest. And I'd turn on them and I'd say, John Frummy, come, definitely. Sometimes adding, Mo Pilip. And I fancied I was being followed. But I had no fear. I was researching the Duke. The usual rules didn't apply to me. And up now towards the red, dead rim of Yasur the Volcano. I saw that it was Chief Jack who was following me, his stylish long Nambus swinging in the moonlight, and a pig was following him. And I could feel now the throb of the volcano underfoot. Pilip, said Jack. And this thought came to mind, hey, what if Pilip behind the scenes is headhunting? With his Duke of Edinburgh outward bound award scheme things, that he's secretly amassing the mental, the physical cream of the world, Philip, fighting on behalf of all that's good in the icy teeth of encroaching chaos. And I thought of my little daughter back in England, not so little, 15 now, and what of her future? To be downloaded, mechanised, mutated, improved. I thought, no, outward bound and join the Duke. And I saw my daughter, I saw Daisy there, up there handling a coach and four with the Duke, Fuck, marsh, fuck. Dog sledge racing from Anchorage to wherever. Where's the Duke? Marsh, fuck, marsh. And then coming down the encroaching ice caps, there with the Duke and also the outward bound award scheme winners and his tribes of half-caste progeny. Here's your icon, Philip, warrior, god, king. Now right on the rim of the volcano itself. It's not like you think it's going to be. It's more than a mile wide. You can't see the other side. And more than a mile deep. And it's groaning down there, wheezing, and then like a cannon firing hot ash and crap in your face. Yeah, I said, Yasur, one big fella, God. I said to Chief Jack. And if you get right to the edge, there's no rail there, you know. Get right to the edge, then you can see the eyes. You see the two burning eyes of Yasur, like the gouged eye holes of Oedipus. I said, John from Planty Falla Ear. I said, referring to John From's legendary legions down there in a volcano. John From, said Jack. And in that moment, I made it to two of Jack's gods. I made it to Yasur. I made it to John From. And just for an instant, I made it to his third. I had the Duke in pink light. Yasur, John From, Pilip. I mean, man, I believed. I had it wrong against here. I believed in belief. If only I could grab this moment to bring it back to Britain, you know, what a powerful regenerating force it would have. John From come to champion the homeless, the New Age hippie convoys, and all shirkers of integrity. Don't work too hard, and I will be with you at opening tide. And I heard the beat of the tam-tam calling in the pigs. Bong, bong, bop, bop, bong, bong. And I caught the patiently waiting eyes in the set old face of Chief Jack Niver. And I thought, Prince Pilip, sir, your highness, you've got to come back and say hello again, this fella. It's all probably too late for an icon now, but I think you should just get back and see him. I mean, we wouldn't have to know. But I think a bit of deck hockey with the Virgins is called for, really. I mean, actually, why not? If he's going to make up in some way for us having used them as something to wash with. Bong, bong, bop, bop, bong, bong. Mim. And I experienced toujours vu. Toujours vu, the moment that won't go away, the moment before which you couldn't have died because you were always here and always will be long past your days. I said, Jack, I think I get it. I said, listen, he will be coming back. He'll be coming back, all right, mate. He'll come back in the nick of time. Pilip, God and Emperor of the South Pacific. And before you go, God, save the Queen.
Ken Campbell, The Seekers podcast, was produced and presented by Daisy Campbell and David Bramwell, with kind permission from the Ken Campbell estate. It was funded by Arts Council England. The disembodied voice of Ken was Jeremy Stockwell. Music by Richard Kilgour.